Good Friday morning. I am in the pool. I'm still hurting and I didn't want to get out of bed, and I just I just wanted to relax, but I also didn't want to sit all day and have my joints aching and not go into the pool where it'll make it better. So here I am. What I want to talk about today kind of stems from a comment that I got. It said, just eat less vegetable oils. Okay. Some of you might think, well, did you really give it to him straight? No, I didn't. I actually gave him the benefit of the doubt, and I asked him if he was a naturopathic physician. 'Cause you never know. You never know. But anyway, I'm sure you guys that go through invisible illnesses and autoimmune diseases, let's take lupus, for example. It would be so ridiculous if, that comment applied to your lupus. Oh, just eat less vegetable oils. Oh yeah, that's really going to mellow out your immune system so it doesn't attack your organs. Yeah, not. Anyway, yeah, so it's just kind of ridiculous. These people think that we're lazy and we're depressed. And you know what? We are often depressed, but not just because we're depressed. We're depressed because we can't do the things that we used to do anymore before we got sick. And yeah, it's depressing when your life is all of a sudden taken away. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. It is depressing. It is sad. It's frustrating. So anyway, I wanted to tell you guys how where my illness comes from. It was a really, really long journey. I came down with chronic fatigue in May of 2006. And of course, every doctor I went to always went to the go-to, oh, you're depressed, you need to take antidepressants. So when one of the doctors, drilled into me with the depression excuse, I said, all right, I'll try antidepressants. It did nothing for me. Zero, donut. Did nothing for me. Didn't even make me happier. So, I had just about every test you can think of, every blood test. I was tested for autoimmune illnesses. I was tested for, oh gosh, my mind just drew a blank. The neurological disease. Tell me in the comments if you remember. But anyway, I had to have an MRI, and they injected contrast dye in my arm. And so I did all that, and a lot of the blood tests were repeated. And again, everything was normal. And so I lived my life. And I managed to recover enough to go back to work, because I'm not one to give up. I thought, okay, I'll try this job. And I really thought it was for me, because it was for a school therapist, and which would allow me to use my my credential in school social work, which is, there are no jobs in California for that, hardly, maybe like one or two in the entire state. Maybe things have changed, but at the time, yeah, when I was looking, So I was excited I would have an opportunity to use my credential. And so I managed to work for 3 years, and then I had an incident dealing with a client that I shouldn't have been dealing with. It should have been the police that dealt with it, but the principal of the school didn't want to call the police because it would make the school look bad, like we weren't doing our job. And so I basically had to, play chase down, like exactly like a police officer. And it caused me to really relapse badly. My physician at the time, he even approved for me to be put on temporary disability. And 2 days, there you go, 2 days before I was scheduled to go back to work, the principal sent me a certified letter saying that I was fired. It's like, what? You might think, well, how can they do that when you had doctor's approval for temporary disability? There's a whole explanation for that, but there is a loophole, unfortunately. So anyway, there had always been this this doctor that was oh gosh, why is my brain just like going foggy on me this morning? There was a doctor who specialized in chronic fatigue syndrome, and he would also treat people with autoimmune diseases. And I would see his name pop up in all of the chronic fatigue and autoimmune disease forums on the internet. And so finally I was in a place where I was able to have insurance that would allow me to go see him. And I did. And before I went to go see him, he gave me my hi baby. Hello sweetie. So he gave me some labs to do before my appointment. Did them, and I had my first appointment, and he asked me to go through all of my medical history, everything. I asked him, well, how far do you want me to go? He said, as far as you can remember, like even as a child. So I did. Naturally, it took a while. And then he showed me my lab results, and he pointed out 2 tests for 2 things, and he said, see this? These 2 are positive. And they weren't just positive, they were like off the charts positive. They were the lab testing criteria or whatever can't go any higher. And the doctor explained to me that these viruses were called enteroviruses, and it was in these viruses are the same category as polio. And you might think, and somebody asked me, well, didn't you get the polio vaccine? Yeah, but polio is, I believe, 4 different strains. And there's about 72 different strains of enteroviruses. So how are you supposed to give a vaccine for 72 viruses and probably growing? So yeah, he put me on these herbal tablets that he and his son, who was a pharmacist, created. And anybody can get them online. They're called Equilibrant. Equilibrant. And I tried those, and I had horrible side effects. And I was only taking 1/4 of a pill. But it was horrible. My joints started to ache and everything. It was terrible. And so when I went back for my follow-up, and I had done labs before I went back, the doctor told me that I had now tested for lupus. These herbal tablets, had elevated my immune system to the point where I was in lupus, and immediately he said, stop the tablets. So anyway, that is my story. There were other experimental, everything to treat chronic fatigue syndrome is experimental. And he was describing some of them, and he was being honest and telling me how difficult the side effects were. And I just didn't want to go through that. I didn't want to feel worse than I already feel every day. So you individual who told me to eat less vegetable oil, I'll tell you right now that I would describe my diet as paleo/keto. So like what I usually eat for dinner is baked chicken and vegetables and a lot of garlic. I eat a lot of garlic because I know garlic is a natural antibiotic, antiviral, antifungal. It's good for you. Probably doesn't make me smell nice, but it's good for you. So anyway, that's my journey into finding out what the root of my illness was. And I still have it. But it took me 7 years to find out what was wrong with me. So that's my journey. I hope your guys's wasn't as difficult and as long and drawn out as mine. But anyway, have a happy Friday, and if I don't come on here during the weekend, have a happy, wonderful weekend. Bye everybody. I'm gonna try to do some laps.